CinemaJaw is sponsored by Overcast, an independent podcast app that embraces the open world of podcasting instead of locking it down. No exclusives, no premium content, no paywalls. Just a great podcast app for everyone. Get it for free in the App Store.
Hey guys, this is Jack here. I've been on the show a couple times, talked through 42 grams and open tables, and I think I came in once to talk about Second City. And I just wanted to call in because I know you got a big milestone coming up here, and just wanted to congratulate you on reaching your 5th episode, and that's amazing. 5 episodes. I mean, how did you do it? Oh my goodness. I read the email wrong. 500. Jeez. That's a lot. I'm worried about you guys, actually. That's a lot of episodes. That's a lot of time spent on this. Yeah. Congrats, I guess.
What's up, Chicago?
Hey, Chicago, how we doing tonight?
And everybody at home listening, oh my God, Ryan, can you believe this crowd at Soldier Field?
I have never seen this many people watching a live podcast in my life.
I think this might be a first. This crowd is ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. There's got to be 70,000 plus here in that cake.
I've never seen Soldier Field more electrified.
This is awesome. CinemaJaw 500 live at Soldier Field. Thank you all for being here. We love you.
Are you guys ready for some CinemaJaw?
Woo! This is unbelievable, Matt. We got such a show for this crowd to kick it off. Podcast listeners, you're going to hear these messages, but everybody here at Soldier Field, please turn your attention to the video boards and check out these nice messages we got from some past guests.
Hey, this is Doug Walker, aka Nostalgia Critic. Happy 500th episode to CinemaJaw. I had a lot of fun being on the show with you guys. Congrats.
Hey CinemaJaw, it's Adam Kempenaar from fellow Chicago podcast Film Spotting. Seems like just yesterday we were celebrating our 500th episode, and it's a milestone you guys should be incredibly proud of. It's a true commitment and a labor of love, and here's to another 500.
This is Brian Tallarico of RogerEbert.com. Congratulations, guys, on making it to 500 episodes. You are an essential part of the Chicago film critic community, and we wouldn't be the same without you.
Oh, man, that was great that Tallarico had such nice words for us. Oh, my
Touches
goodness.
us. Thank you to everybody who's sent us voicemails. We're going to be dropping these throughout the show, everybody, so enjoy them. Thank you.
Yes, we got a lot planned here. I mean, 70,000 plus are in for a treat. We have a flyover coming. Believe it or not, Tom Cruise promoting
No way.
new Top Gun movie. Yes, promoting his new Top Gun movie. Is coming to Chicago and doing a flyover.
In an
a
F-16?
little-
Holy crap.
Happening.
They spared no expense for CinemaJaw, Ryan.
Yes, also, as everybody knows here at Soldier Field, and now the listeners know at home, Mayor Lori Lightfoot announced January 14th as CinemaJaw Day in celebration of our 500th.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an honor. We are so honored.
Thank you, Chicago. This is unbelievable, Matt. I am so glad to be here with you.
Totally
Yes.
pumped, man. Should we get this thing going? What do you guys say?
Woo!
Listening to CinemaJaw, the greatest movies podcast ever. Episode 500, recorded on location from Soldier Field in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Ryan the Movie Guy, and sitting inside the fish tank is Filmy and Phil. Hello! This week on CinemaJaw, Matt, we celebrate our 500th episode by looking back at what we have discovered in movies while doing this podcast.
Yeah, it's an honor to have been doing this podcast for so long. And in all seriousness, the things I've discovered have changed my life in many ways.
I know I listen to other podcasts, and I'm sure people listening to this right now listen to other podcasts, including CinemaJaw and other ones, and they learn things from listening to these podcasts.
I hope so.
Right? There's discoveries that are made. Could be a director, could be an actor, it could be a genre of film. Who knows what you learn when you're listening to CinemaJaw?
It could be the favorite candy of yours that you get at the concession stand, if you're able to get to a concession stand.
And the listeners are not alone. We, as podcasters, actually learn a lot of these facts as well. And so we are sharing our discoveries, our top 5 discoveries since me and Matt started CinemaJaw.
Stoked to do it, man. This is, I can't believe we hit 500. It's really cool.
And besides that, we have more going on, don't we, Phil?
Yeah, we're continuing to celebrate Denzel Washington Month, and we also have a very, very, very special guest who will be coming in very soon.
And we have a review of One Night in Miami.
In honor of One Night in Miami, Matt, you will be taking on this special guest in City in the Title movie trivia. So think of other movies that have cities in the title.
All right. And, I hope this isn't a spoiler alert, but I am undefeated against this special guest, so I'm not too worried about this.
Wow. Undefeated. 500 episodes of CinemaJaw. You're undefeated against this particular special guest.
Yeah, just this one in particular. Yeah.
I don't know how we lined him up then for 500. Something shady's going on behind the scenes with you, Matt K.
Well, I booked the guests, so I'm not sure how that happened.
Well, it's already been a blast here celebrating with the fans here in Chicago. I think it's time to give them a treat and to give our podcast listeners a treat. So we bring in our guest. You have heard him on CinemaJaw for many, many episodes. He was a producer and a voice on the Jaw. And he is very excited to come back onto CinemaJaw. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Elias Rodriguez.
What is going on, guys? What is up, JawHeads? Thank you very much. I am here in my parka. It is freezing cold. I was jettisoned from the practice flyover earlier today.
Oh, is that you in the parachute?
The old jaw box.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was the jaw box in the parachute, the old school one, and the parka padded my fall. So it's great to be here. Thank you.
It's good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Yep, it sure has.
It has, and congrats, fellas, and good to see you too, Phil. This is awesome. I'm so honored that you all would have me as your special guest so I could continue my undefeated streak in trivia versus Matt K.
I love it. This is great. We're all back together again. So before we find out what is new with Elias, just a few things to sort of mark the celebration of CinemaJaw turning 500. It is taken quite a long time to get to 500 episodes, Matt K. And I know when I tell people that I do a podcast and they ask me what the name of it is and I say CinemaJaw, a lot of people think, why is it called CinemaJaw? And we end every podcast, keep on jawing about the movies. And I remember talking to Matt when we were going to start this little endeavor that we wanted to have this feeling of two guys at the back of a bar, having some beers, talking about films, arguing about movies, who's right, who's wrong. And we did just that. We started in the back room of Mother's.
Yeah, we literally did just that.
A lot of arguments and a lot of beer was drank, and the birth of CinemaJaw started. And there's been such great examples of me and Matt arguing throughout the years. But I thought on this special 500 to pull a clip here of what it means to jaw about the movies when the guest actually gets involved and Matt and the guest start arguing, which is exactly what happened episode 178 when James D'Amato was the guest and Superman, Man of Steel was the topic. Listen to this.
Man of Steel misses the point of Superman more than any movie that will ever miss the point.
Thank you.
Did you think that it was good?
Yes.
He loved it.
Because
Matt!
we
It made
have-
his top 10 list of the year.
What? We have fundamentally different opinions of
James
Superman.
is on the floor.
Wait,
Let's get him up.
this
Get him
is
up,
the-
guys. Get him up. Elias, can you help James up?
This is the geek episode, so I don't feel bad about
All right,
going
He's
off
back
on
up at
this.
the table.
Get into this.
Here we go. we have a fundamentally different view on Superman.
Yeah, I'm right and you're wrong.
No,
it's fine.
I think that Superman is he was influenced by Ma and Pa Kent, and that's what kept him from going completely insane. But at his core, this person, Superman, is a freaking alien. He's not human.
Superman was a story created by Jewish immigrants.
Right.
One of the things that they experienced growing up, in addition to being orphaned because of prejudice, was feeling like outsiders.
Right, absolutely.
So this character was created by people who knew what it was like to be an outsider and wanted to believe more than anything that they could belong. So you are telling me that their interpretation ultimately is that Superman can never be one of us? I say to you, read it again.
He's
James,
all right.
James.
I hate it when I get ganged up on the Superman thing.
Oh, I love it. Hey,
I'm sorry, you're wrong. I wrote 3 long essays about
That
it.
doesn't
and
make
you
it
can
right.
read them.
I'll read them.
Read them,
you know what?
and I'm right.
I'll read them.
JawHeads complaint letters go to Matt Kabinski and also to James. I didn't have any argument on this one, so don't aim them towards me this time. Great pick at
You know, it's rare that I actually get into it that deeply with a guest. I think we knew James pretty well, and I was just feeling passionate about the subject.
It was great. Obviously, there are many times and many clips that we could pull of people arguing.
This will not be a clip show, though.
No, it will not. It will not. In fact, this is one of the only other clips we have pulled here, because a startling fact, and I think for people that listen to other podcasts know this as well, when you've done 500 episodes, for the most part, there are times when some hosts are not present on the show. But on CinemaJaw, out of 500 episodes, only one time was either me or Matt not present on the show. And that
of course,
happened,
it was me.
That happened on episode 292 when Matt K was not there. This was in the era of recording in my condo. And we had on John Hammerly to do a fall movie preview. And it was me, Elias, John Hammerly. And I thought, what a great time. I had just gotten this smart speaker. And I said, why don't we ask Alexa who her favorite CinemaJaw host is? And hilarity ensued.
Okay.
Yeah. Alexa knows her stuff, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous.
Yeah. I wonder if we asked Alexa who her favorite member of the CinemaJaw team is. Do you think she would have an answer, Elias?
Well, maybe she is fond of me and my skills in the jaw box looking up answers.
All right, let's ask her. Alexa, who's your favorite member of the CinemaJaw team?
That is a simple answer. I really do like Elias, but I must admit it hurts my feelings when he looks up facts for the jaw box segment. That is supposed to be my job. As for Matt K., he is a total asswipe. His opinion is wrong 98% of the time. Plus he loves comic book movies so much you would think he is a 12-year-old boy. That leaves me one choice. Rye the movie guy is smart, funny, sophisticated, and has great taste when it comes to movies. It does not hurt that he is the best looking as well. I love that Rye the movie guy.
That's pretty fantastic, huh?
Wow.
Yeah, I tell you.
See, Matt, even Alexa knows you're an asswipe.
It's common knowledge, Rye. I'm as much as I really think Hammerly did a great job. I think one day you have to take a jaw vacation, so I'm not the only host to have missed an episode.
I see. You're jealous.
I am.
So Elias was part of CinemaJaw, obviously a lot through some of this memory lane that I have here. And what I wanted to really focus on were the fun remotes. Times when we would go to these ridiculous spots. One time we wanted to do an entire summer of CinemaJaw remotes, and we were recording at that arcade bar. We were in like a comic shop in Wicker Park. We were all over the place at a game shop doing our Pixar movies.
That was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was a ton of fun. Way back, maybe this was predates Elias. We actually went to Excalibur, the club, when we did a zombie party. And this is really how we got to know
John LaFlamboy, right?
Right, who is always on our Haunted House episode. They were doing like a zombie party where they were doing all kinds of makeup on people. And pre-Elias, one of Elias's great contributions to CinemaJaw was making sure that we wore headphones.
Believe it or not,
Oh yeah,
folks,
cans.
we did not wear headphones when recording CinemaJaw, and it is so evident in a couple of these episodes when we were on remotes and the volume of the room was extremely loud, and it was never louder than trying to record a podcast at a club with a DJ and music and girls dancing with zombie makeup on. And me and Matt are screaming into the microphone so that we can hear each other. You can't even, it's unlistenable, I think, that actual episode, but it was a lot of fun.
It's still completely possible, although not very easy, to go all the way back to episode 1 and listen to CinemaJaw from the very beginning.
That's scary.
It is kind of scary. I can't believe how long we've been doing this show, man.
Yeah. So, Matt, I wrote a few heartfelt words that it's always difficult to say to a friend or a colleague in this case too. So, Matt, I thought this would be a good time to let you know how I really feel about you and say some words from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, wow. But wait, hang on a second. Here comes Tom Cruise, everybody.
No, Matt, from the bottom of my heart, I just wanted to say and it's been an absolute pleasure to work with. I've never seen him more handsome. And Matt, that's all I have to say about that.
Well, thanks, Ryan. I'm honored, really, from the bottom of my heart.
That was really beautiful, Rye. My tears are freezing here at Soldier Field.
I don't think I've ever heard a speech like that, honestly.
There you go. All seriousness all the time here on CinemaJaw. We turn our attention to Elias. Do you miss being part of this wonderful team here, Elias? Because we miss you.
I do. It was always something that once a week I showed up to, and Rye, the movie guy, kudos to him. He always has the show put together structurally, so I would be able to just do my busy filmmaking stuff during the week, and then show up and be a part of some podcasting, which was always a huge love for me. I do remember, by the way, Rye, you brought up that you guys weren't using headphones, and also we were recording in the back of a bar, Mothers, so sometimes there was karaoke in the front room, which was wild. And so I was also using unidirectional microphones. You guys were using Omni, which picks up sound from all over. So once I plugged in, it was only specifically getting that's some audio nerd stuff. It was only specifically getting our audio right in front of us. Since then we moved to studios, and then you guys are using condenser mics now. That's totally different. But I remember those challenges, and it's I do miss the regularity of CinemaJaw.
Yeah, as much as I do love all the nice technology that we have now. Now we're doing it here at Soldier Field, and people can hear us at home. This is literally fantastic. But to go back to those days when we were doing it on Division Street, and Phil came on board at that time too, and the MO was this, Jawheads. We would drink on the show. We would have a few beers. We would do the podcast. A guest would come in. And then for a long time, we were actually getting movie swag to give out as movie trivia at the bar.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes we would go to another bar afterwards, get a few free drinks as we handed out movie swag and did movie trivia at the bars. And by then, Phil would be just bright red and thrown up out on the streets. But those were a blast, those times, guys, out on Division Street.
Oh, man. I do miss those times. I do.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That even reminds me to parlay to another memory of the Chicago International Film Festival. There wasn't that festival at the time. I don't know if it's different now, but they didn't really have a local party or after party. So I decided let's do it. And Ryan and I kind of spearheaded that party. And then we all showed up there, and it was a huge blast. I remember a lady was talking with Phil actually at that night. And we were all just watching each other, having just a great time. And a lot of people showed up. I was afraid that people weren't going to show up. Some guests too also showed up.
How many people showed up at that party?
Oh, we had about all told, probably about 40 or so people. I mean, coming at different times. But all told, maybe 40, 50 people came through. It was a blast.
This is what I miss about Elias, is you always came up with these plots, these schemes, these ingenious little plays and ploys, like the tour, like the after party for the Chicago International Film Festival. And you pushed us into some of these things. And it was, 9 times out of 10, they were always successes, you know?
Thank you. Yeah. And I'm sure that's a thing too, because there's like, you know, Rye gets the show together and structures it, and then Matt's another creative genius. So, you know, we were like button heads, you know, with our visions, but it was always awesome to just, because we all cared so much, you know. At that point, there was no real sponsors, regular sponsors for like income or whatever, but we were just doing it for the love of it. And so like when we would push ideas and fight for our own ideas, I feel like it started to create bigger and bigger things, and even just the rebranding of CinemaJaw. I don't know how many JawHeads nowadays know the original logo, but at that time I was learning a lot about graphic design, and so I also did the I don't know if you guys still use it, the Jaw poster, the homage to Jaws.
We still use it,
that,
yeah.
and awesome, and so I was learning so much about graphic design, and I wanted to then take that original logo and kind of update it, refresh it. And then Matt had the idea of, at that time, he was working on websites. So he did the whole launch of the new website, which was super cool. It was just kind of like this feeding thing where at first it started off this, you know, my love for podcasts. You guys were my friends. I'm going to, you know, meet all these awesome guests. And then it became just something so much like, to what it is today. And it's a Soldier Field.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Yeah. And I like that you've made it sound so romantic there, Elias, but the truth was, JawHeads, there was a moment where Matt and Elias hated each other during that creative process.
That was a very brief moment, and there was a lot of alcohol involved.
There were a few times where it was like, wow, I think it's going to come to fisticuffs. I'm shocked they're in the same room together.
That's not true. And the same can be said about me and you, by the way. Plenty of times.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was a trifecta. I think, do you guys ever fight with Phil?
I was just going to say,
no.
Phil's like Switzerland. He never gets angry with either one of us. Phil's just Phil. That's why we love the guy.
Yeah.
Somehow Phil has learned how to deal with our weird personalities in a very, very even-keeled way.
I think it's because I look and behave much younger than I am. And so there's like a little bit of a little brother syndrome where you guys let a lot of things slide. Because I have noticed in Slack where we communicate, Matt and I both have, well, Matt has ADD and I have ADHD. And if Matt,
I don't know if there's a distinction.
There is. There is. Yeah, I'm jittery or I jitter more. But Matt will do something like, just last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I uploaded something into the absolute wrong channel, and then Matt, all he did was ask, "Where is it?" And Ryan yelled at Matt.
It's fun. Yeah, I checked all the channels but the one where it was.
Because I could see it. I could see it. No. I could see it coming. You know what I mean? I could telegraph the whole thing. I'm like, I know Matt is not going to know. And then here we're supposed to be posting the Jaw, and Matt's firing off text messages.
You can't change the leopard spots, guys, you know?
So, Elias, since you have left CinemaJaw, you've been pursuing your career as a filmmaker, and some exciting news, right? You wrote a script called Ends Meet. It's a 90s drama that actually won, I don't know the exact name of the contest, but it won a $20,000 production value, I guess, to film in the state of Nevada, correct?
Yeah, this was it was for the Cordillera International Film Festival, and I won their best short screenplay. And what came with that was an award for that production prize, which is amazing. And yeah, this story, I don't know if you guys got a chance to read it. I sent it over. So this is the actual story. I need to get better at elevator pitching this, but it's basically, it's set in the 90s. It's about a low-income mother and son. So they go to these different department stores, and she has these schemes to steal from the stores and to make money and make ends meet for the family. And so this one fateful day, the jig is up, the managers are onto her. And so she needs to bring her son into the fold to finish the job that day. And then that's when the kid kind of discovers what is actually going on and what has been going on. And so that screenplay, it's a short, and I submitted that. We're hopefully going to make it this year. $20,000 budget, which is amazing. A bummer with that is totally understandably is that a lot of that budget would go towards COVID testing. clearly, and COVID safety and stuff like that. So I was kind of hoping, depending on when we film it, hopefully that might not be too much of an issue. But in this project, I hope to one day parlay. I'm already developing it into a feature. But first things first, we're going to make the short.
That is
nice, dude.
Super awesome, man.
That's really exciting, actually.
It is. And obviously, being part of the show, we have a lot of listeners that are creatives and trying to do their own projects. What kind of advice on something like this? Like, I didn't even know that this was such a thing, that you would write a script and send it off to a place in Nevada that has a contest. So how do you go about finding those kind of things to, possibly win a budget like that? And
Oh, wow. This almost like makes me want to make this one of my top 5, because this was for sure a discovery during the era of CinemaJaw. Is filmfreeway.com became the platform for finding film festivals and screenplay competitions. It's somewhat rare it's very rare for an actual festival to kind of do this grant, let's just say. But there are specific screenplay competitions that do have prestigious awards, and some of them are financial. But yeah, this one, I lucked out, scouring and also just knowing the festival from years prior, and then they presented this one. So yeah, I think that's a whole other thing that I'm kind of in this next phase of my filmmaking career, is looking for grants and investors and all that stuff. So I'm really just stoked that, one of my, that's the thing too. I was doing so many comedy shorts in Chicago. And then when I left, I did a lot of reflection, and I've been traveling for 2.5 years straight. Actually, that's a whole other story. And through my reflections and through learning more about writing came this script. And I finally felt like I had something worthy of submitting to that kind of competition. And so,
So that's
basically,
this is a departure from your Chicago era style, would you say?
Yeah, thanks for phrasing it that way, because for sure, all of those, I'm very, very proud of those short films, and Think Twice is one that even Rye worked on. Very straightforward comedies, and that got into a ton of festivals and really shaped me. But then I started to realize, one day when I'm going to go to make a feature film, I really want to be proud of it, and for some reason I wasn't tapping into the kind of pride with the comedy shorts that I wanted to do. And I just realized that, I need to go deeper. I need to find, deeper stories to make into a feature. It's funny, when I left Chicago, my only feature film idea I had was, and JawHeads, feel free to do this, was a horror story about male pattern baldness, because that was my biggest fear in life. And
come on, man, really?
Oh, this could be great. Yeah.
Look at the head of hair on this guy,
Ryan.
Dude, I am so glad the pandemic hit and Zoom hit, because wow, am I thinning back here, but no one could see it. And well, this the half the crowd here at Soldier Field could see it, but I'm not too self-conscious because I'm the guest of honor today. But anyway, I left. I traveled the world. I went to Mexico for the first time. I'm Mexican American. And so I was trying to come up with new ideas on the fly of this is going to be somebody, a journey of somebody going to embrace their heritage. But then I started to realize, once I started reflecting a lot on my past, stories like what inspired Ends Meet came to the fold. And I was looking for deeper stories, but they were always in me, is what I learned.
That's great, dude. Congratulations. Where are you right now?
I am currently
at Soldier Field. I mean,
or
where did you come from? How did you get to Soldier Field?
I just came from Los Angeles. So I legitimately, JawHeads, have been traveling around as a digital nomad for 2.5 years. I'm based in Los Angeles right now until tomorrow, because now I'm going to go over to Austin, Texas. So I'm going to be in Austin, Texas for a couple of months. And during the pandemic, I'm just going to kind of keep bouncing around till, things settle down. And then LA is going to be the long-time base.
The Salt Lick while you're in Austin, Texas. All right. Trust me on this one.
Awesome.
Trust me.
Later on in the show, we'll talk to Elias on a couple other short films that he has out. For now, though, Elias, where should we tell JawHeads to go online or follow you on social media? Where should we send them?
Definitely either Instagram or Twitter at Eliaz Rod, ELIAZROD, is where I'll be updating. I'm about to do a brand new refresh of my website because those 2 short films you alluded to will hopefully be up online in a couple months. And so, yeah, but Instagram, Twitter.
Sweet.
Awesome.
We'll put the links in, as always, into the show notes.
Matt, I know we're here live at Soldier Field celebrating CinemaJaw 500, but we're also celebrating Denzel Washington. We cannot forget a Denzel Washington fact this episode. What do we got, Phil?
Yes, this week for our Denzel Washington fact, Denzel's feature film debut was the 1981 comedy Carbon Copy. In it, he plays the illegitimate African-American son of a white business executive who is played by George Segal. Denzel made his directorial debut almost 20 years later in 2002 with the film Antoine Fisher.
1981, he got his career started. Wow, that is a long time ago.
Really? I was going to say I thought it started earlier than that, but that is a long time ago. That's how old I am, I guess.
Glory, I believe, was 1989. Can we throw that in the fish tank there, Phil? It's somewhere right around there. So I think most people, that's when he won his first Academy Award, when people were like, oh, that's Denzel Washington. It was a name all of a sudden. I don't think prior to 89, and also while you're in that fish tank looking that up, prior to Glory, if there was a notable role that I'm not thinking of, Devil in a Blue Dress, perhaps, I guess.
Maybe. I think he had billing like right up there with Broderick on that film, right?
I don't know. We'll ask Phil. See where he was billed in Glory, if you can find that as well. So. All right. Well, as I mentioned, we have a review of One Night in Miami. We're going to do that after the break. Since we're rolling here with the CinemaJaw memories, it's a great time to tackle our top 5 list, which is our CinemaJaw discoveries, things that we as podcasters and film fans discovered over the past 11 years while doing CinemaJaw. Elias, you're our guest. You're getting us started. What do you got sitting at number 5 as a discovery while doing CinemaJaw?
Yeah, so at number 5, this is kind of an era. Some of the things on my list are like the new eras that occurred when this was luxury movie theaters and drinking at the movies.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So Rye, you explain like the remote. So like the Icon Showplace, which the photos I took that's on your main homepage still for the refresh, like. I just feel like, I mean, that made, sure, it was at a certain point like unfair to old school theaters, but it made theaters like the new 400 become the new 400, like update or bring in different crowds with the being able to drink and whatnot, and created totally different movie experiences, which, like last year, you have a couple of drinks and you think the Joker is incredible and amazing. And then you text Rye, the movie guy, in the middle of the night. And then the next week you're like, yeah, maybe it wasn't that great. And it was kind of like incel-y, but whatever. But at the time in the theater, it was majestic. And I saw that in Brooklyn at the Nighthawk, which is their own kind of luxury hipster drinking at the movie theater.
First of all, the Joker was amazing. It wasn't just it was a great movie. And the new 400, I remember when they were like our first sponsor way back in the day, or among the first, it was something that they had a full liquor bar that was like a big selling point. Right. You can get a beer at this theater. And now you walk into every theater and you can get a beer.
Just about. Yeah, there's very few. They're still out there, some of the big family ones that don't. But I agree with you, and Elias, that a great memory was actually going to that Icon when they put in those new recliners. I mean, it was already a nice theater with a bar, but they upgraded with those recliners, those really nice ones. And you.
Yeah, they had this cover it.
Yeah, we went over there and they had us cover it, and we got to see a movie. And I believe it was free drinks, if I remember correctly. I remember getting nicked up there. I don't even remember what the movie was, but it was a great time.
Yeah, maybe that was the sentimentality that they got me that night.
Matt, what do you got sitting at number 5?
At number 5, I have my only filmmaker on this list. The rest are more sort of pulling a page out of Elias's book, like aspects of film. But Ari Aster is my number 5, much to the chagrin of Elliot Bamborough. I'm sorry, Elliot. I don't know what he doesn't see in this guy, but just a a voice that always leaves me completely devastated and haunted. Every movie so far has been, earth-shattering as far as my love of horror and where I think that genre can go in the hands of a competent filmmaker. So that's a discovery for me. Just number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah.
My number 5 is, I know it came up on CinemaJaw, and everybody can relate to this. When someone uses a term or they talk about something that you've never heard of before, but you just sort of agree at the time because you don't know exactly what they're talking about, and they're rolling, with their. And it happens actually quite a bit here on CinemaJaw, believe it or not. There's times people are talking about things and they're rolling, and I don't want to stop the show, so I just roll with the punches. And such was the case when someone mentioned mumblecore, which is a subgenre of film. And the very first time it came up, see, I know, like Phil, for instance, is laughing. But
we're all laughing at you, Ryan.
Matt, at one point in time, you learned what mumblecore was.
Yes, but that point in time was way before we started doing CinemaJaw.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's
and you're Ryan, the movie guy, for God's sake.
No, and I had seen a lot of the movies. It's not that I hadn't seen the movies, but it had started really not that much earlier. Like, you're making it sound a ton. I looked it up.
Yeah.
No, 2002 is when they say the first movie, which was Funny Ha Ha, is the film that they attribute to being part of the first film that they say is mumblecore.
Sure.
So that's 2002. We started in 2009. You didn't hear about it in 2002, Matt. It wasn't right away.
No, but like 2005, I mean, Buffalo 66 is another huge entry in that genre.
So I had seen a lot of these films, but I remember very early on we had a guest and they mentioned mumblecore, and I was just like, what? I never heard anything called mumblecore. And I went and I looked it up and I'm like, oh, okay, I get the idea now. So it was because of it too. I then looked up other films, I mean, I obviously knew who the Duplass brothers were and Joe Swansburg, but I looked up other artists that were, part of this subgenre and have seeked out their films, and I like them.
Oh, good for you. And now I'm starting to think I should have made my number 5 things Ryan didn't know.
Oh, Matt is clueless on most things, but we'll get there. Into our 4s we go. What do you got, Elias?
A real quick comment on Matt, like around 2005, you were making your own films around that time too, right? So of course, like, you would have had your finger on the pulse. Like action films, I forget what it was, but
yeah, it was like action, horror, sci-fi, the kind of
downplay it.
It was the kind of, it deserves to be downplayed. The kind of stuff that
pre-verotica.
Yes, pre-verotica, but it's definitely in that vein very much.
All right, so number 4 for me is iPhone filmmaking, iPhone feature filmmaking. So wait, hold on real quick, guys. This is behind the scenes, so you don't do the ding during. Does Phil put in the ding later?
No, we don't do them at all.
He finally
anymore.
dropped that.
At all? What? This is heartbreaking. Keep this in.
He does. He does still keep it around for trivia, though.
Right, just trivia.
So you will not be too.
All right.
He wore it out. It actually stopped working. We had to get a new one.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we're on our
That's
maybe
like
our
the
4th.
18th one.
Yeah, our 4th or 5th at least.
Jeez. All right. Well, I was waiting for the ding in the first one, and I wanted to check in. So iPhone filmmaking, feature filmmaking, specifically with Tangerine, and it was amazing to have met Darren Dean at a festival and ask him to be on the Jaw. I forget what episode that was, and so
throw it in the fish tank.
Yeah, and here's some also behind the scenes of that, and clearly, so Sean Baker. I think it was actually with the Duplass brothers. Part of the funding the film, it was to make it with an iPhone, and it just seems like Sean Baker's just such a rock star that, and with his other movies, you could just clearly see his progression, and even just the first couple minutes of Tangerine of how awesome it is. It's like the tool didn't matter, and as an indie filmmaker, seeing it at that time in my life, it was exactly what I needed to kind of see, and just to see what you could do with just about anything. And real fun behind the scenes Jaw story that I didn't tell you guys. So Darren Dean gave us a screener at that time to watch Tangerine. And it was a screener directly to Sean Baker's Vimeo channel. And so I'm a young filmmaker with my Vimeo profile and my shorts to watch. So I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to like the Vimeo video, and only he's going to see it. And maybe he's going to see my stuff and discover me. And as soon, like, I want to say an hour later, he emailed me instantly, and he was like, "Who gave you this link?" Thinking like I had.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like he went and liked all of your stuff.
No, he was angry, understandably. And so I had to explain that he was on CinemaJaw and that I met Darren at a film festival. But yeah,
Too funny.
yikes. But anyway, I still followed his career and was very inspired by iPhone filmmaking at that point.
And now we've had more, right? What was that one that Danny Boyle just did just last year? He did the Netflix film.
No, it wasn't Danny Boyle. It was High Flying Bird. It was Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And I think Unsane is another one.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah. And that was the iPhone 5. Jesus. All right. Swings it back over to me. And number 4, I have going to movies alone. So prior to CinemaJaw, in fact, maybe for the first 2 or 3 years of CinemaJaw, I never went to a movie by myself. And the first time I did, I remember being really weirded out. I had always gone to movies with a date or at least a friend, my family, somebody, right? I just never went to movies alone. And now, I got to be honest, I prefer it. Like, we'll go to these press screeners. I don't even like to sit next to Ryan. I just want to be by myself. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to get a beer. I don't want to be recognized. I don't want to be known. I don't want anybody to ask me, what'd you think of the movie? I just want to get the hell out of there afterwards. It's become a very solitary experience. And I think because of that, I've connected with cinema more deeply because I don't have to filter it through, I wonder if she's enjoying the movie. I don't have to worry about anybody else except me. And it dissolves the entire world around me. And I just fell into the screen. I think that just brought my love of movies up a few notches, like the Grinch's heart growing a few sizes. That's how it felt.
That's a good pick, Matt. And it's funny. I obviously, through CinemaJaw and press screenings and not press screenings, have gone a ton of movies by myself. And I agree with you for being someone that saw so many movies with, a significant other or friends for so many years, and then to start going by yourself. I'm right with you, Matt. I would have trouble going again with friends. And I always go see the Star Wars movies with my brother and my cousin, and I'm never more annoyed the way everybody eats their popcorn and they're drinking their beers. Anybody pay attention to the movie? Everything bothers me.
The people you're with, right?
Exactly. Really, that I'm with. Like, God, I think to myself, I couldn't watch another movie with this guy. I'm glad Star Wars only comes out one every 3 years because it's an annoying experience.
Yeah.
I'm right with you. I love a Saturday morning, me, a large cup of coffee, and the big screen. I'm in heaven.
Solitude.
I do remember, Rye, I think we went to a couple movies together, and this was like, early iPhones or whatever, and you called me out for being on my phone the whole time. And but Matt, here, I knew you grew up like a punk, like metalhead or whatever, similar to me. But did you not go to concerts by yourself, or were you always with people? Because I found concerts by myself was incredible. That's when I learned that movies would be okay by myself.
See, okay, I have gone to concerts by myself, and I don't enjoy that experience at all. I think like I want to share that experience with my friends, and like clap my buddy on the back and push him around in the mosh pit and all that stuff.
Got it.
It is a more social venue.
Yeah. Plus, you need somebody to buy you a beer.
And metal there you go. Nice. I guess I was too young when I was going, seriously. But I always just found that like I would lose my friends in the mosh pits or whatever. So it was like, why even go with them?
Well, there is always that moment when you're by yourself, and that's kind of cool. But you connect back up,
Right.
All right, on to my number 4. And this discovery goes way back to the extreme early days of CinemaJaw. In fact, it happened on CinemaJaw episode number 20. So way back on episode 20, Kathy Byrne was our guest. Big guest for us at the time, Matt.
Sure, yeah.
And I was not working at the time. And we had just launched CinemaJaw, and I was very hungry to get involved in the Chicago film community. And so after the podcast ended, I actually asked Kathy like what she would recommend as far as, me being able to get involved and meet people. And she gave me 2 organizations to volunteer at. And this is where my number 4 discovery comes in. One of those was the Midwest Independent Film Festival. First I had heard of it. She mentioned it to me then. And
it's huge, right?
I would go on to shoot them an email and actually volunteer for about a year and a half of screening some of their films. Got to know Mac, who's been on the show. And it was wonderful that there was a film festival going on. And in this case, the first Tuesdays of every month. So this was a year-long festival. And it wasn't, it was about the films and seeing movies that you would never see in big chain movie theaters.
Or anywhere, yeah.
Right. But it was also about networking and being able to meet people that have the same passion as you, and that being cinema, and being able to mingle with them beforehand. They would have a little gathering with open bar, and you'd have a few drinks and you'd talk, and then they'd play the movie. And then there was also a social gathering afterwards, and you'd be able to talk and meet people that had all these interesting things going on, filmmakers, critics, so on and so forth. And it opened up a lot of doors. For me, yes, the Midwest Independent Film Festival, but my discovery that I would pass on to jawheads listening to this wherever they're at is the smaller film festivals are extremely worth your while to get out there and socialize, network with people, and at the same time see cinema that you're just not going to see anywhere else.
That's a good pick. Certainly one Elias can attest to.
Yeah, and they had free buffalo wings regularly, which was great at the after party.
Absolutely. There was always like some type of finger foods going on at those after parties. It's awesome. So that was my number 4. Into our 3s, what do we got, Elias?
So for number 3, this one might be too broad and might steal a lot of yours. It kind of joins with Matt. So A24 as a whole. Do either of you guys have this on your list? No? Okay, good.
I do. But I also have honorable mentions, so I can sub one out.
Okay, got it. Well, then hopefully you could jump on here, because I mean, as the films were, I think this is in order I listed, but just my favorite: Under the Skin, Ex Machina, Krisha, who we had, Krisha Fairchild, on the podcast. Again, I met her also at the Middle Coast Film Festival, where I met Darren Dean. The Bling Ring, which I know it was an ongoing thing of me having a crush on Emma Watson, I believe, on CinemaJaw,
and Alicia Vikander as well.
Oh yeah, Ex Machina. And so The Witch, Lobster, A Ghost Story, Lady Bird, Moonlight. Just the idea that there was a place, maybe it was like post mumblecore, that now there was like a new wave of indie film and even leaning horror film, to a place to go as a indie filmmaker. Because even focus features, right? Like when I was first in the early 2000s or the mid 2000s, realizing how much I love movies before I realized I could make them, like that was my go-to like distribution. Like if they had a new title and there were still blockbusters at that point, I was like, let me go to that. But then they kind of just fizzled out or whatever. And I think they're owned by some big company now. But A24 now then became that. And just like super inspiring. And and Moonlight, I guess, very specifically, the Ends Meet, the short and the feature I'm working on. I remember texting my brother Donnie, who's been a guest on CinemaJaw a lot. After watching Moonlight, there was some early scenes, the first act when he's the young kid, and it's like him and his poor mother, and he's like bathing, he's heating the water with the pot and taking a bath. And I just remember watching that and my mind's just blown. And after the movie, I text my brother, I'm like, wow, have you seen Moonlight? Like, I didn't know we could just make a movie about growing up low income. Like, I didn't know that that we didn't necessarily bathe with the pots in the warm water or whatever, that thing, but it kind of it just blew my mind. And it's so amazing that A24 became a place for those types of stories to be told.
Great pick.
I'll reshuffle mine, and this is where I'll throw Neon in. It's kind of a reshuffle for me, but similar to the things that you're saying. And A24 was on my list. Neon is an honorable mention that I'm subbing in here, but they have been on just a tremendous tearing roll. Another film studio that's only been around for 4 years, and
throw it in the fish tank.
I think
But
4
I
years.
think 4, yeah.
In the film press community, we get a bunch of screeners, and most of the time they come in these kind of like throwaway trifold, DVD case things with all the accolades printed on for the movie. But Neon sends out this book every year, and it's like worthy to collect on your shelf. And I'm pretty sure this one said year 4, and it collected all their films and Apollo 11, Ammonite. What else they did? Palm Springs this year.
Parasite.
Parasites.
Oh, wow.
It's another one. It's up there with A24. I totally agree with you, Elias. They're one that I probably get a little bit more excited for because of that horror lean, and The Witch just blew me away. Hereditary as well, but
I think I might agree with who is it, Elliot Bambro, of not necessarily being a fan of Ari Aster, and
that's okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna leave it at that because I know you're making the point, but
yeah, I mean, it's all right if you don't like Ari Aster, but I sort of was open to all the A24 films, and I think Neon is kind of also starting to scratch that itch for me. Everything they've put out, for the most part, I have at least found interesting, if not some of the better films of the year.
No doubt about it. It's 2 great picks there, 2 great studios. My number 3 is something that all 4 of us, Matt, Elias, Phil, and I, have enjoyed, and it is C2E2 is my number 3 pick. This is the Comic and Entertainment Expo here in Chicago. So I guess my discovery is this. Comic conventions aren't just comic geeks and dorks, Matt. It's pretty damn cool. It's a lot of fun. And I know, Matt, you'll think I'm the contrarian here and saying that I was, an idiot, but I know Elias was on my side too. He was never going to go to like a C2E2 or a comic convention. You were not on board back then. So Matt had mentioned, I mean, more or less aligned with CinemaJaw's history. The first C2E2 came basically the spring after we had started in the fall. So we had been doing CinemaJaw for, maybe 6 months when the first C2E2 came out and came to Chicago. And that first year, I really just went to sort of promote CinemaJaw. It was just me and Matt promoting. We didn't interview anybody.
Right, just throwing out flyers.
That was it. But I saw it and it was okay, this could be sort of fun. So the next year we actually had a table and we interviewed Noah Hathaway, who played Atreyu from The Neverending Story. And since then, I mean, we got Bruce Boxleitner, who plays Tron in the Tron movies, Max Brooks, son of Mel Brooks and author of World War Z, and numerous guests.
Sandy Carpenter King, who is John Carpenter's wife and quite a creative in her own right.
Absolutely. So the guests were great, but the memories that I think all 4 of us have of going to C2E2, enjoying the pop culture convention that it is, and then just having the fun that we've had. I mean, the first intern we had we don't want to go into full details because we don't want the cops called. But I mean, then having Phil get absolutely delirious and drunk at these events. One of the last ones that we went to, me and Phil actually went on Friday. The big day was supposed to be Saturday, but me and Phil were like, we'll just go on Friday too, just to check out what's going on. And we ended up at an after party with Tim Seeley, and we were up at a bar up north, and the night ended with me pulling over for Phil to vomit. So the nights have turned into a lot of fun for CinemaJaw.
Well, what I really enjoyed, the moment I started to realize that you two were having some fun that I wasn't privy to, is when Phil, we went to, you call it BarCon, when you go to the bar after the convention, BarCon. We went to BarCon at the hotel that's connected to the convention center, and when Phil walked into the room, everyone was like, Phil's here, everybody.
He became a celebrity.
He did. It was wild.
I just want to mention, I resent that we make it 100% my fault that these things happen.
You made it 100% your fault, buddy. I believe you actually fell off your bar stool. Like, people say, I'm going to fall off my bar stool as like kind of a turn of phrase. You actually did it.
So that was my number 3, C2E2 and comic conventions. It opened my eyes that there's a lot of fun to be had at these conventions, and enjoyed all of them.
Real quick point, didn't we meet a couple of JawHeads there too? Wasn't that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was I think a lot of fun too to realize, you know, how and having a booth there too was also really cool to eventually become our own presence at C2E2 and also just to have, you know, JawHeads to hang out with.
Yeah, and in fact, we got to know the guy who actually runs C2E2 and Read Pop in general, Lance Fensterman, and he actually left us this message.
Hey, this is Lance Fensterman. I run C2E2 and Read Pop and New York Comic Con, and I want to wish CinemaJaw a happy 500th episode. You know, a lot of people said you wouldn't get to 5, and now you've gotten to 500. I can remember being on CinemaJaw and winning a quiz. God damn it, I never got my prize.
Oh, nice of Lance to take time out and congratulate us.
Honor. It's a relationship that I truly treasure, our friendship with the guys over at C2E2, and especially Lance, who's been super kind to us throughout the years.
Yep. Into our 2s we go.
Yeah, so number 2 is kind of a broad spectrum of very super talented Chicago filmmakers who were doing big things. Basically, what is it? Marching to the beat of their own drum. Is that how you say that? Mm-hmm. So we have, I don't want to butcher his name, Amar Jean Christian, who did OTV, which has had some giant projects, you know, and also the Chicago Rot dudes, Frank Ziti, the list goes on, of just people who were doing these giant projects that had like a following, and it was just so inspiring to like hear from all these people. And like, yeah, the Chicago Rock guys would have their own like screenings, and they seem like a music based like movement, or like it's your favorite band, let's go watch their film again and, you know, watch their screening. They had their own like, we went to their Rot shop. I think that might have been part of that tour even early on. Yeah, yeah. And so it was just really cool to see these older filmmakers. And again, I was a young pup at that time of like, wow, these people, like, it reminds me, I eventually started going to, what is it? Like horror film festival or genre film festivals, which also remind me of going to metal shows. So there's a bunch of dudes wearing black t-shirts and not caring if the whole world doesn't accept their band or their art or whatever. And these rock guys were just doing it. And like clearly OTV is very specifically like, what is your story? You get to tell it now as a queer or a BIPOC person of color, especially in Chicagoland, that AMR like set up for everybody, which is amazing. And Frank Ziti, you know, doing his web series, Black, the web series, and, you know, having legions of followers. What did he raise for season 2? 50 grand, I believe. It was just awesome. Like unheard of. And I couldn't believe that these people like were our friends or like our peers and all that stuff. And they just also lived in Chicago. It was just super inspiring.
Nice one.
That's a great pick, dude. I got to agree. Like the journey of this whole thing, and the people we've met, it's definitely the high point.
And there's probably another like maker that I'm totally forgetting that did another awesome huge project. But yeah, sorry if I forgot you.
No, those are some good highlights though. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. At number 2, this is something that Ryan taught me actually, that I kind of had no idea existed prior to CinemaJaw. Like you discovered pop culture and the world of the comic book conventions. I discovered the studio system, that there is this entire way that movies work and the way that the gears turn that you can kind of predict by when a movie comes out, if it's supposed to be any good. There's a flow to it. There's a you know, a peak and a trough. It's almost like waves coming in. There's this hidden life to movies behind the scenes, more than just going and buying a popcorn and sitting down in the seat, that I didn't know anything about. And it's been super fascinating to learn about how all that works, you know? It's probably one of the more mundane points about movies, but I find it very interesting.
I like that. You actually learned something from me, Matt K.
Yeah, not too many things, Ryan, but you know, every once in a while.
I'm going to bounce it right back at you because my number 2 is actually a direct from Matt K. Believe it or not, this was not planned, but this is a discovery of, again, something that discovery might be a stretch, but that you turned me onto. And now I realize I was wrong for just not taking a look at these particular films. And I'm calling them splatter films or gory horror comedies, because I would never even look at some of these movies. And in fact, when we started CinemaJaw and Matt would mention some of these films and the titles, and he would tell me what they were about, I almost thought he was making a goof on the show. Like, what is he talking about? Like a bat bites the guy's head off, and then all of a sudden the guy's half bat, half man, and he's running around, or whatever he was talking about. These, my goodness. And it hit a couple of peaks. One was when we did the famous DVD exchange very early on, and you gave me Peter Jackson's Dead Alive.
Right.
And I watched it, and talk about a discovery. I don't know if I knew anything about Peter Jackson's background all that much at the time I was watching Dead Alive, and to realize this is where he sort of came from and blossomed from was interesting. And I think it really peaked again just last year when I finally decided to watch Slither, which is James Gunn's movie.
Yeah, dude.
And I didn't just like the movie, I loved the film. I talked about how everything clicked. I mean, it was fun, it was gory. I mean, it was entertaining throughout. The characters are fantastic. And so I've come sort of full circle on, I used to just turn away from these movies and not give them any credit, to realizing that there is a lot of talent. And a lot of times it's what young directors are cutting their teeth on before they're going to launch. We see it time and time again, be it Sam Raimi or James Gunn or Peter Jackson, the three I just mentioned.
South Park guys.
Right. So you see it time and time again. I'm discovering splatter films as my number 2. Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, right. I would say that sorry to interrupt there. I would say that would even just be like those genre horror film festivals that, like, yeah, there's that whole, let's just make these wild films. And they also sell, and people, they make money. Yeah, it's great.
Yep. All right, here it is. It's CinemaJaw. It's our number 1s. What do you got sitting there, Elias?
All right, so this one very much was specifically a story that was told on episode 283 by Trevor Albert, who was the producer of Groundhog Day and a bunch of other films, and Jack C. Newell, is that his middle initial? Mm-hmm. Who is a filmmaker that I would add to my last number 2 of doing amazing projects in Chicago. When they were I believe, co-president of the Harold Ramis Film School that was just about to launch, Trevor Albert had a story about how he asked his daughter, I believe it was him, I don't want to get this wrong, it might have been him talking about Harold Ramis specifically, but either he or Harold Ramis, I think it was him. Trevor said that he asked his daughter to, she was in film school, and so he wanted to see some of the films that were being made, right? And so he asked, to send him over, and he watched like maybe 5 short films. They were all dramas and not an ounce of levity. It was just so intense, so stark, so like the most intense thing you can. And they're student films too, so they're, of course, going to just, not be perfect. But he clearly saw the importance of needing to tell young filmmakers that it's okay to have levity, and especially when you're going through hard times, you need to laugh. And I think that's a lot of like the great dramas have that. And to continue with what I realized when I left Chicago and that really ties to what ends meet the film that I'm making, and I keep plugging, is that I realized that yes, those are hard memories that they're inspired by, and it was really tough back then. But throughout the script, and the draft that I submitted to that contest was the second major draft. And that draft, I added a bunch of just humor and levity and just, the mother and son joking around, and because that is real life. And I remembered from that episode of right before they were starting that film school, a comedy film school, that it's very important to have levity within the drama in both.
Well said, sir. I
Absolutely.
like that one. That is a good lesson to learn. All right, my number 1 thing I've discovered since we started doing CinemaJaw, we kind of touched on how I'm into the pop culture and the horror side of things. I never knew I had such an affinity for documentary film as I discovered through doing this podcast. Year after year, we watch a bunch of movies, and always the ones that I go back to and think about the most are documentaries. And I have just discovered, like, if you sat me down and said, what's your favorite kind of movie? I would probably say documentary is my favorite kind of movie. And it's just something that's, they can be funny, they can be sad, they can be thought-provoking, they can be scary. I think there's a lot of room left in that genre, if you want to call it a genre, to extrapolate and find new meaning to your life and just the world around us. That's something I will always take with me and treasure is my love of documentary. And actually leads in perfectly to another voicemail we got, Ryan. A part of that journey and getting to know some of these great documentarians in Chicago is our friendship with the guys from Little Cabin Films, who were kind enough to call in. And why don't we hear what they had to say?
What's up, CinemaJaw? This is Andrew Morgan from Little Cabin Films, the band and documentary in Sleaze Lake. I just wanted to call to wish you all a happy 500th episode. Congrats.
Yo, CinemaJaw, it is Nick Numador, producer-director of the Van and Documentaries. I'm so excited to celebrate your 500th episode with you. I've been listening since day one, actually, probably damn close to all 500 episodes. That's a lot of trivia. Congratulations to the engineers as well, Reno, Elias, and Phil, too. I salute you. Sha Wing.
Love those guys.
Yeah, they're really awesome dudes. Appreciate the call, guys.
I remember that episode we did with them about subcultures. Yeah, because they did Vannon, and I just remember learning a lot of like cool subcultures through that. And they weren't all documentaries, I don't think, but just learned a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And we talked. I mean, Matt's number one movie of 2020 was Nomadland, and we joked in the review of if that movie had parents or a pairing that we would do would be Vannon, because there is this awesome van culture within that movie. And how about it, Matt? The press screener that came in the mail actually came with some stickers, and one of them was a van. I mean, it's a van. It's like right out of the Vannon stuff that they were giving us, like the koozies and whatnot.
Yeah, I think those guys they tapped into something unknowingly, and here we have
they sure did.
Yeah, big time.
So my number one, it's great that you went documentary, because I sort of fall into that as well. Believe it or not, this institution has been around since 1966, yet I discovered it while doing CinemaJaw. The guest was Becky Sticchetti. She came on, I forget exactly what she was plugging, but she had mentioned that she was taking a new job at a production house called Kartemquin. And I know me and Matt have talked about this off the podcast. At the time of her saying this, we had zero clue what she was talking about, what Kartemquin was, how it got its name, the three owners and the founders, obviously being ending there with Gordon Quinn. So there's the Kartemquin. And to think how this relationship then blossomed as we reached out to Kartemquin. They couldn't have been nicer over there to give us some filmmakers when they had new movies coming out. And we have talked to, yes, the founder, Gordon Quinn, but we've also talked to Steve James, a full episode, nominated for Academy Awards, obviously director of Hoop Dreams. Bing Liu, nominated for Minding the Gap. He's been on CinemaJaw. Maria Finitsu. And it's this gem. It's a non-for-profit production company here in Chicago, focused solely on documentaries. And a lot of these aren't going to be huge blockbusters where they're out into the mainstream theaters, such as the Bing Liu and the Steve James movies, but they'll play at your film festivals. They'll get onto Hulu, and they're extremely interesting and thought-provoking documentaries. And they are a treasure here to have in Chicago. And in fact, they reached out to us to congratulate us on 500.
Hey, CinemaJaw. Congrats on 500 episodes. That's a great achievement. A lot of jawing about cinema. This is Tim Horsburgh from Kartemquin Films, the documentary production collective here in Chicago. We're very pleased that you guys have always supported our work. Happy to support yours. Here's to another 500. Cheers.
So there it is, Matt Kartemquin, my number one discovery while doing CinemaJaw.
That's a great number one. I'm glad we both went documentary. I'm glad we both went documentary.
So yeah, you mentioned Becky Sticchetti. She was another person that I think was on that summer tour. That I had also gotten a new camera there, so you could go on cinemajaw.com. I'm pretty sure there's a video of us recording with.
It's
Becky.
still there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so she was. I forget. She was. Go ahead.
That was Chicago Filmmakers, which is an honorable mention of a discovery. I had never heard of Chicago Filmmakers when we went there, right?
Right. And actually, like Becky as a whole was an honorable mention for me. Yeah, she later became with the Chicago Film Office, and I kind of learned a lot from her. And then congrats to her. She's out running the Hawaii International Film Festival out there. I think she just got married. Cheers to that. Lots to celebrate here.
Yeah,
for sure.
Becky was an early supporter of the show, and I hope she's listening. And yeah, that Hawaii gig's got to be really rough.
Oh wait, Matt, she was also a supporter of your film festival, the Indie Incubator.
Oh,
she was. She was a friend before we started CinemaJaw, so somebody we could turn to for advice early on.
Yeah, because I feel like the Indie Incubator is like a precursor almost to CinemaJaw. I feel like that has to be mentioned. And with Chuck Klein, who co-founded that with you, he was a guest. He was my friend. I made films with him. Yeah.
Yep. A couple of honorable mentions. Don't want to go on too long here. Cuff, Chicago Underground Film Festival. I had heard of it prior to CinemaJaw, but really discovered exactly how interesting and awesome it is since then. And then also, this one's going to sound hilarious, but I would have probably known it just because pop culture turned into this. But definitely when we started CinemaJaw, I had no clue the difference between DC and Marvel. And I've joked about this before, Matt. I mean, if you told me, if you went down the line with superheroes and you threw out like Iron Man, I would be taking guesses if they were in DC or in Marvel. Green Lantern, I wouldn't know.
Can I test you right now?
I think I know them all now. I mean, you'd have to give me the movie characters, obviously.
The Flash.
Oh, yeah. He's with Batman and those guys, so DC.
Nice. See? Yeah, you're learning, man.
I just had to think what movie he was in. Yeah, there you go. So I got it pretty much down pat now. So thank you for that, Matt.
Well done.
JawHeads, we'd like to hear some of your discoveries that you made while listening to CinemaJaw. If you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet at CinemaJaw, or you can email us, feedback@cinemajaw.com. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we have a review of One Night in Miami, plus Matt K versus Elias in movie trivia. Stick with us.
This is Clint Worthington from The Spool, formerly Alka Hollywood, and I'd like to wish CinemaJaw a happy 500th episode. It's been amazing seeing you guys come up as someone who used to share the Chicago film podcast space with you, and I'm looking forward to 500 more episodes. Congrats, guys.
Matt and Ryan, this is me, Don Shanahan of Every Movie Has a Lesson and fellow Chicago Indie Critics member, and I want to wish CinemaJaw a very happy 500th episode. Congratulations on the long haul. It's amazing the work that you do. You're my favorite podcasters. I'm not supposed to say that. Thank you. But you guys, I can't wait to see you guys in person. I miss you guys, and congratulations on the milestone. Enjoy.
Hey there, guys. This is Jim Terry, comic book person, and hopefully it's not too late for me to wish you guys a happy 500. Is it 500 or 5,000? Okay, well, either way, congrats, and here's to 200 more.
Hey, this is Chicago filmmaker Frank Ziti from Black, the series, and I'd like to wish CinemaJaw a happy 500th episode. Congratulations to Matt K and Rye, the movie guy. You guys are fantastic, and I can't wait to hear the next 500.
CinemaJaw, happy 500th episode. Incredible stuff, guys. This is Neil Edelstein, film producer, fan, first and foremost, of CinemaJaw and movies. I love you, CinemaJaw. Here's to another 500, make it to 1,000.
And we are back on CinemaJaw, hanging out with Elias Rodriguez. And we mentioned at the top here, Elias, that you got a couple of short films. I know They have been making the circuit again, the film festival circuit. One of them is Mid-30s Martyr, and I watched it today. Loved it, buddy, and great to see your brother in there as well. He made me laugh when he spills his beer, and when he makes that quick turn, he spills his beer. Got a huge laugh out of me, or champagne, whatever it was. It was hilarious, though.
Awesome.
So where can we see these films coming up?
Yeah, and both of them are written by Donnie, by the way, previous guest, my brother. And so Cinema on the Bayou is actually happening the week this episode drops. You can watch Mid-30s Martyr, a homage to Casablanca and figuring things out in your mid-30s. And then also Compartmentalization Storage Facility is another amazing film that, it's very much what it sounds like. My brother performed both of these sketches live with his sketch group at Second City. And, Compartmentalization Storage Facility is kind of like the style of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That will hopefully be online in February. So follow me on Instagram and Twitter again at Elias Rod, and you'll be able to see that link when it drops.
I love this. I love the collaboration that you guys do. There always seems to be something that you kind of grab from the inner life and bring to the outer life. I've noticed this pattern in a lot of the comedy you guys create together.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Matt, before we get to trivia and before we get to that one night in Miami review, we want to open up that fish tank. I know Phil has a discovery he has made on CinemaJaw, so let's open up that fish tank.
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, get some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, guys, thank you for letting me out this week. We got a couple in here. Our first one, going back to the very beginning, before Elias was even announced, when did Glory come out? And prior to Glory, what was Denzel Washington in? Was any of it good? I think one of you said it, but I don't remember which. The film came out in 1989. And between then and his first film, Carbon Copy, in 1981, Denzel Washington was actually really, really busy. He was in 5 different films between then. The most notable ones being Glory with Richard Gere, and Cry Freedom by Steve Biko.
Interesting.
Yeah. See,
so 5 films in between them.
I thought he had kind of a name for himself.
Mm-hmm.
When was Darren Dean on the show? The first time he was on episode 248 in August of 2015. What I noticed is that Darren seems to come on about every 100 episodes. He's right around the X50. So he was at 248, then he came back on 351 and then 457.
Wow.
So in about another 50 episodes, expect to hear from Darren.
Yeah,
that
it's
would
about
put us at the end of the
now.
year.
That's about right, yeah.
If he's not here in January, in December. And then our last one, how long has Neon been around? And I do want to, I'm going to be that guy for 1 second. We've been using the term studio a lot to describe Neon. And technically they are a distributor, which is a little different. But Neon has been around for just about 4 years, just shy, because their first film, Colossal, came out in April of 2017.
Wow, which we also did a review, a video review of.
Oh yeah, I was there.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
I think I may have kicked you in the groin, or you kicked me in the groin. I can't remember which way that groin kick went.
Make sure you link to that on social media or something.
I will. I'll put that in the show notes. It's worth a watch.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Those
Good
were
stuff.
fun.
Were those the only facts we had in there, Phil?
Those are.
So we did our favorite discoveries. Phil, while we're in the fish tank, you got a discovery and a favorite memory of CinemaJaw?
Yeah, I can think of some stuff. There's always a couple classics. I apologize because I realized a lot of mine are kind of like would be on the making of disc, not on the proper disc. Well, maybe not. This is good content because it's new to a lot of people. Probably my favorite memory. Now I have another one that was sillier, but I chose this one because it meant a lot. We had a guest, Mike Cheslick. He had just, him and his friend Ryland Tews, they were director, animator, writer, actor combo. And this was back when Elias was still doing the heavy lifting for the live stuff and the engineering, live mixing. So I when I was around for recordings, I would often quietly be in the corner, usually like playing Pokemon or drawing. And I remember after the end of that episode, all of us had gone out for a few drinks, and there was a moment when Mike, who I believe at the time he was
he's working for Nickelodeon.
Working for Nickelodeon, or if he had just left. It was just this very meaningful thing because it was a doodle that I was doing to pass time. He had said like, "Oh man, that was really cool," and that meant a lot to me. This is what I guess this point 3 or 4 years later, and I can still remember that, which was very cool.
Yeah, those guys were great. They were another. Yeah. I met them at Middle Coast where I met Darren, Dean, and Grisha. So like, and they're doing big things. And so for him to say that is to somebody who was just hanging out at the side is tells
very, very cool.
They were nice guys. Yeah.
Then my favorite discovery. This one would happen on the first drive to, is it Lockport or Lamont? Where is Hell's Gate?
Well, you got to go through Lamont, but I believe it's in Lockport.
In Lockport?
Yeah.
Matt Kay was driving me to Lockport because I didn't have a car. And this isn't even movie related, but he had put in an album that's name is offensive, so I won't say it. But it's an album by the band The Queers, and that would be probably my favorite discovery since then.
Whoa, I am so
it's a
honored.
very, very good album.
Bill, wait, are you just saying The Queers in general, or are you saying punk?
The Queers.
Okay, I'll take
The
it.
Queers.
I'll take it. That's awesome, man. They're a great band.
They're very good. Yeah. They have a song called "Stupid Fucking Vegan," which I really enjoy because I am one. They're. If I can share what Matt Kay has shared with me 5-6 years ago with the JawHeads, that would be terrific.
Let me tack on to that story. I was happy. I remember that particular day that I drove myself, and now I'm like really happy that I drove myself that particular day.
That CD got stuck in my car. It's the only CD that plays.
Oh, good times. Was that everything, Phil?
That's everybody.
All right, jump back in that fish tank.
You bet.
One Night in Miami, Ryan, is the first feature from actor-turned-director Regina King, who JawHeads may best know from her Oscar-winning role in If Beale Street Could Talk, among many other credits. The film is a fictionalized account of a meeting in a hotel room between Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, Malcolm X, and Muhammad Ali after the latter's heavyweight championship win against Sonny Liston. It premiered at the Venice Film Festival, a first for an African-American female director, and is heading into its streaming run with a great deal of positive buzz. But can a film set mostly in one room be the greatest of all time? Does a stage play turned film float like a butterfly or sting like a bee?
I was made in America, land of the free, home of the brave.
This movement that we are in is called a struggle. Because we are fighting for our lives.
This ain't about civil rights. They ain't giving black people what they really want. What's that?
Hey, I was made in America. That's why I'm out here saving America.
Power. Black power. I like the sound of that.
I wish I lived in America.
One Night in Miami opens with Jim Brown, played by Aldous Hodge, visiting a typical Southern house. You know, old man's beard dripping from a tree-lined dirt driveway, screened-in front porch, lemonade is served. Beau Bridges shows up, and the two have an interaction that seems innocent and even friendly, but ends in a crushing display of vile racism. This sets the tone for One Night in Miami, which explores the theme of Black success and the danger it presents. Its three other principal characters, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and Sam Cooke, are played by Kingsley Ben-Adir, Eli Gore, and Leslie Odom Jr., respectively. And though they have small roles previously, I have to admit I was not very familiar with any of them before this film, and I found that refreshing. I think if I had been distracted by who was playing these four icons, I may have lost sight of the matter at hand. There isn't a lot of set pieces here. After the title bout scene, the four gather in a drab hotel room, and that's pretty much it for the rest of the film, but that's okay. King uses pastels, costumes, set dressing, and the music perfectly to ground us in the mid-60s, and One Night in Miami will transport you. The four men have extended conversations about fighting for equality, what success means to their efforts, and how money and or success can change a person. Race, obviously, is front and center in their conversations, but there's also an undeniable masculinity theme here as well. These people were four shining examples of greatness, and to see the characters interact while the conversations might be fraught is nonetheless a treat. Each actor has his moment to shine, and I found the entire cast superb. If I had to give the hat tip to one of them, I would highlight Kingsley Ben-Adir as Malcolm X. I went back and watched some tape of the real Malcolm, and he had the look, speech, patterns, and mannerisms down to a T. So eat your heart out, Denzel. One Night in Miami feels like a stage play, but that isn't a bad thing per se. It's a fantastic adaptation. It makes me want to see it live. What do you think, Bri?
I was really impressed with Regina King's direction here. And I did feel she took the stage play and opened it up a bit more for the movie screen. And I think where you see that the most is the boxing scene in the beginning. That really does help open up the film a little bit more, because eventually we're going to go into that hotel room where we'll be for the rest of the movie. I also felt while watching that I also felt like I was watching a secret part of history unfold. So she did a good job of capturing the importance and the stature of all four of these legends. The acting by all four leads I thought was sensational, but I am right with you. The highlight for me was the guy who played Malcolm X, Kingsley Ben-Adir. I thought he was the best, and I think Oscar nomination probably for him. The highlight inside of all these conversations, I'm going to get into some deep stuff here. It reminds me of the conversations me, Matt, and Elias and Phil would have after a CinemaJaw and 10 beers. Those kind of good arguments, right? There is a highlight here where Malcolm X and Sam Cooke are talking regarding Bob Dylan's protest song, Blowing in the Wind. And Malcolm X is giving Sam Cooke a tough time because he feels that all of his music is just pop music with no thought, nothing, no passion behind it.
Right.
And of course, the film ends with a Sam Cooke protest song. And that conversation, and there's a few others where it's those moments where it's just deep, thought-provoking conversation that you could just sit there and watch these guys talk. Yes, it's four people talking in a hotel room, but you're almost hanging on every word because what they're talking about, the subject matter is so good.
It's four people talking in a hotel room, but it's Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown. So it's four, they're practically superheroes in a way. Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And there's some humor too, right? Like the rooftop scene had a great joke. The movie works on a lot of different levels. I love the conversations. I love the thought provoking. What's cool is you don't even necessarily know who's right, and I don't think that's the point of the conversations at all, to necessarily drive a certain point of view home. It's more about there's different points of view here that you can take what you need from each one of them.
I agree. I think that's the entire point of the movie is the complexity that all four of these individuals found themselves in. They were Black men in America at a tough time to have success, and all four of them were if not the best, one of the best in their profession at the exact time. And Malcolm X obviously being, a leader of a movement, and you got Sam Cooke right at the top of the, charts as a singer, Jim Brown, the best football player, Muhammad Ali, the best boxer. And how do they deal with that success? And once they have that success, what do they owe to the movement is what Malcolm X is pushing. And the whole thing, listening to it unfold is just fascinating.
It was fascinating. And it's, I didn't even know necessarily how much of it was fictionalized. I guess Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali did hang out. That much is true. I don't think these four, they did have some sort of connection, all four of them, but I don't, obviously the conversations, like you said, this is a secret part of history. We have no idea. It's totally fictional what happens once the door closes in that hotel room. It was cool.
Yeah, really enjoyed this one. It is streaming right now on Amazon Prime. Matt, you got a movie poster quote for us?
I do. 4 icons plus one famous night plus the 1960s equals one night in Miami.
A lot of pluses and equals there. I like it.
It's an equation.
It's easy.
It's math, Ryan. Yeah.
Right. I went with Regina King's directorial debut is a knockout.
Oh, I like that.
There you go.
What you did there. How many Jaws, Rye?
3.5 Jaws for One Night in Miami. I'm coming on strong.
That's exactly where I landed with this. It's a damn good movie for sure. For sure.
3.5 Jaws for Matt K. 3.5 Jaws for Rye, the movie guy. If you see One Night in Miami, you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet. Let us know your thoughts. We are at CinemaJaw, or you can always email us feedback@cinemajaw.com. Oh boy, we hear the music. Soldier Field, here's the music. It is time to play some movie trivia in honor of One Night in Miami. We are playing cities in the movie title, movie trivia. So think of movies that have cities in the title. Elias, you're our guest. You get to choose if you want to go first. Let Matt go first. There are steals, and if you get hung up on any questions, you get one Rescue Me Ryan. I'll help you out.
Wow, I forget. I used to have, so we say that Matt says that he's undefeated because I was miraculously winning.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
And at a certain point, I remember every time we would rematch, I was like, what did I do last time? Did I go first or did I go second? I forget what I did. I'm going to go first, though.
All right, here we go. Question number 1 over to Elias Rodriguez. They start off easy. So Renee Zellweger, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Richard Gere star in this musical.
Wow, this is really easy. Chicago.
There you go. Give Elias a layup. Make sure he's nice and calm. Question 1 is done. 1-0. Question 2 over to Matt K. Tom Hanks falls in love with this actress in Sleepless in Seattle.
Elias, I brought this. Do you remember this thing? Remember this?
The trophy.
Oh,
I still have it.
Haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah. If Elias wins, he gets to take the trophy on his travels through this
thank you.
film land we live in.
Look at him trying to buy time here. I love how he's trying to buy time here.
It's Meg Ryan.
There we go. All right. 1-1. Easy ones are out of the way. Question 3 over to Elias. Johnny Depp, Benicio del Toro, Tobey Maguire star in this 1998 film directed by Terry Gilliam.
Oh my gosh.
Johnny Depp, Benicio del Toro, Tobey Maguire.
Wow, this is
1998.
Wow.
Terry Gilliam directed.
Terry Gilliam. Oh man, I am completely blanking. I just don't. I want to say a country. I know Brazil isn't it. Wow. Yeah.
Incorrect. Matt, you got a chance for a steal and to take a 2-1 lead.
This is only question number 2?
3.
Yeah, it's a tough one, dude. So it's not the Don Quixote movie that never got produced. Johnny Depp was attached to that Terry Gilliam joint. I'm just taking a stab in the dark. I don't think any of the actors were in City of Lost Children.
That is incorrect. We were looking for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh, yikes.
I thought city had to actually be
that one.
No, not city. A name of a city.
All right,
Las
I botched
Vegas.
that. Botched
You
that
see
one.
it? You see it, Matt? All right, it is still
Love
1-1.
that movie.
Question 4 is over to Matt K. Matt, Nick Cage stars in 2 movies with Vegas in the title. Name them both.
Oh, come on.
Well, it's not Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's Leaving Las Vegas is one of them, and Nick Cage. It's the one with the flying Elvises, right?
Boy.
Yeah, I don't know it.
Oh my goodness.
Vegas Vacation.
Oh, yes. That is incorrect. Wow. Elias, you got a chance for a steal. He had one of them correct there. Nick Cage starred in 2 Vegas movies. Name them both. With Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas and Honeymoon in Vegas.
Yes. Wow, what a turn of events here.
Damn.
Elias takes the lead 2-1, and question 5 is over to him. We jump overseas for this one. Name the 1999 romantic comedy that starred Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts.
Oh, boy.
And we're overseas. It's not an American city in the title.
Right.
Hugh Grant, Julia Roberts.
I was way too young. I was for rom-coms. This is one of those points where I don't want to name a couple of cities and give Matt K some ideas.
I think I know this one. I think I know this one.
Oh no. I have no idea. It's not going to come.
Wow. Incorrect. Matt, you got a chance for a steal and to tie it up.
Is it Notting Hill? Is that it?
It is not.
Wow.
Okay, it is 2-2. Tight ball game here. I love it. Question 6, back over to Matt K. Matt, Eric Bana, who has played Hulk. Eric Bana has made 1 movie with Steven Spielberg. It came out in 2006. Name it.
Eric Bana was in a Spielberg joint, huh? From 2006. Was that the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull era? I'm going to say Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
It's a nice city name. I like it. That is
it's
incorrect.
a kingdom.
Yep.
All right.
Wow. Elias, you have a chance for a steal and to take a 3-2 lead. Eric Bana, Spielberg.
Oh
2006.
You could probably name all the Spielberg movies.
What
it's
do we
actually
got?
coming. It's coming to me. Hold on. It's in Germany, I'm pretty sure. And yes, and I'm literally trying to name the major German cities. Oh my god. Oh my god. Munich.
Yes, he comes through with it.
Yes.
3-2. 3-2, Elias. And question 7 is over to him. Elias, Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, and Sacha Baron Cohen have made 1 film together. Name it.
Talladega Nights.
That is correct.
See, now that one should have been number 3. Shake and bake, man. Shake and bake.
I mean, it is 4-2. Elias has won the game. Question 8 is over to Matt. Matt,
My hat is off to you.
In 1995, Andy Garcia, Christopher Walken, and Christopher Lloyd made a film about an ex-crook trying to go legitimate. Name the movie.
What year?
1995.
Man, that is an awesome cast for 1995. Holy crap.
Andy Garcia, Christopher Walken, Christopher Lloyd.
Damn.
You do have a rescue if you need it.
Rescue me, Ryan.
Wow, rescue me, Ryan. Your clue is a mile high.
So Denver, John Denver. I don't know.
No chance. Any guess here? Elias?
Who's the casting? So what's the question again? Sorry.
Yeah. It's Andy Garcia, Christopher Walken, and Christopher Lloyd. 1995 movie. Takes place in Denver. Anything?
No.
We were looking for things to do in Denver when you're dead.
Wow.
I've never seen it.
Neither have I, dude.
Let's make it a discovery, Matt K.
All right, so let's do that.
Elias wins this one. Can I get a handshake here in front of the crowd?
Oh,
yeah.
Wow,
Nice.
that was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. I do remember a lot of the matches were very close at the beginning and intense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, here at Soldier Field for our winner, Elias Rodriguez.
Elias, this belongs to you now. Take care of this trophy.
They love him. Listen
There
to
you
that. If it came down to a tie, this jawbreaker would have been over to Elias. Elias, will you come back on when CinemaJaw celebrates number 1,000?
Yeah, I was going to say,
Nice.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Hopefully I will
That is
be
the
on
right
my second or third feature.
The real jawbreaker was this. Age of Christopher Walken closest to, Matt.
Christopher Walken. All right. Damn. I would say he's like 74.
Lock him in at 74. Elias, you got a guess?
78.
Give that one to Elias Rodriguez.
Yeah.
77. 77.
I was going to say he's probably even old. Yeah.
Yeah, turned 78, I believe, in March. So he's right on top of that one.
Well, yeah.
He's a treasure. He's a national treasure.
For the 500th time, it brings us to the end of a great Jaw. And first and foremost, usually I want to thank our guest, Elias Rodriguez, but I really want to thank, first and foremost, Tom Cruise for that flyover. I mean, that was
amazing.
That was incredible.
Holy
that was
crap.
incredible.
I mean, when he
so
turned
low.
upside down, yeah.
He was so low you could see his smile. It was insane. Thank you, Tom, for that. And we want to thank our guest, Elias Rodriguez. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thank you guys. Again, legitimately, I hope I will be on episode 1,000.
We also got to thank our producer, our editor. Also, thanks for all the hard work. CinemaJaw 500. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, it was, you'd think that Soldier Field would make it a lot easier to patch in. Not optimized at all. Other than that, a terrific venue, though. And please invite us back for 1,000 after I've said this.
I've already booked it. They'll have us.
We'll be on Mars for episode 1,000. Come on.
Yeah.
Matt, we also got to thank our sponsors.
Yeah, thank you, Overcast, for all the support over the years, and thanks to the Chicago Podcast Co-op as well. Can't do it without great sponsors like them.
If you'd like to support CinemaJaw, the easiest way to do so is by leaving us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast.
And while you're there, please click subscribe. One extra button for you helps us out tremendously. And please check us out on Patreon. We're still doing a lot of cool stuff for our patrons, exclusive content that you can only get there.
Yes, and thanks to the Patreons who do support the show through the years, hitting 500. We should give them a special shout out for keeping this show going.
Yeah, thank you. Bottom of my heart, for sure.
Yep. Until next week, I'm Rye the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt K. And keep on jawing about the movies.
Hey guys, it's professional wrestler Colt Cabana. You know me from the Art of Wrestling podcast, or maybe Wednesday nights on TNT for All Elite Wrestling, but most importantly, you know me starring in Morgan Spurlock's Mansum, where I shaved my friend Sean Devari's back and butt shelf. Congratulations on 500 episodes. It's always a pleasure to be on your show, including the live show from the Chicago Podcast Memorial Society, or whatever it was. Congratulations on 500, and here's to another 500 more. Hunter x Hunter, what a movie. I'm sure you've talked about it.
Hey guys, Zach Morris Live 329 times author and Silver Red Eye movie critic Matt Pace here. Wanted to wish you a big congrats on 500 episodes of CinemaJaw. Keep up the awesome work.
Hey, it's Al Roker Jr. from, I don't know, half the radio stations in Chicago at this point. Mancow Show, The Loop, WGN. I just want to wish CinemaJaw a happy 500th episode. I know Matt and Rye 2020 was a tough year for you guys. Lots of microwave popcorn. Keep up the good work. Peace.
Hi, JawHeads. This is Brent Cato from Chicago Comedy Film Festival, LA Comedy Film Festival, and Flowfield Films. 500 episodes of CinemaJaw. One of the modern mysteries of our time. How did these two not kill each other? Just kidding, guys. Congrats, 500 episodes. What an accomplishment. Onwards to 1,000.